Okay, I thought I'd take you through writing another turtle program, but this time we're going to use best practice and plan it out. I've gone ahead and created a NetBeans project called RandFan, and I went ahead and added my turtle book classes there, which I need to use the turtle. So what I want to do here is I'm going to create a program. This is different than one that I did in class. And so what we're going to do is we're going to find a single random endpoint, and then we're going to draw a series of random lines and random colors from that same endpoint to random secondary points. I should have said that differently. We'll have a common start point. So all of the segments will have a shared endpoint in the end. It'll look kind of like a fan. So I'm going to call this rand fan. Okay, so first thing we ought to do is think about what we need to do here. So obviously we're going to need a world, and I think I'm going to call my world Xanth here. So world Xanth equals new world, and of course I need a turtle, and of course I always use Tom for my turtle. You could say Yertle actually. So turtle Tom equals new turtle. And of course that has to start in my world, which is called Xanth. And then let's see here. Okay, and we're going to need random to generate the random coordinates and the random color. So random RD equals new random. And NetBeans, of course, reminds me that I need to put the include library in there, the import. So we'll do that. Java util random, there it is at the top. Pardon me. Okay, let's see. I got a world, I got a turtle, I got random. And so let's go ahead now and sketch out the pseudocode for our logic here. So basically, we want to set the pen down so we can draw. Well, that's not the right order of things here. Okay, so let me think this through for a second. So we're going to need to find a random color and a random start point. Let's do that. Okay, so get random color, get a random start point, and then basically the algorithm will be move to the start point, which means we have to put the pen up before we can do that, right? So pen up, move to the start point, then set random color, put the pen down, and then move to random endpoint. And that'll change each time. So each segment will have the same start point, but a different endpoint. So we're going to have to go ahead and calculate a few things here. So we need some variables to store this stuff. So let's go ahead and put a color variable in. Color, draw color is what I'm going to call that. And that doesn't need to be initialized here because we'll do that in the loop, but you can see that I need to include my Java color library, and that's the Java AWT color. So again, now I have the two libraries included. We got draw color, and then okay, so we're going to need some points here, and those are integers. So we have int start x, start y, and then we're going to have end x and end y. And let's see, I got my drawing color. Okay, that looks like what we're going to need. And so this stuff here is in the loop. So each time I go through the loop, I'll get a random color, generate a, oh no, the starting point, I won't do that in the loop. I'll do that one time. So it looks like we need to move this statement up out of the loop. And let's go ahead and tidy this up a little bit here. There we go. Okay, so here's the stuff that I'm going to repeat. I'm going to get a random color, cut the pen up, move to the start point, set that color, put the pen down, then move to the random endpoint, which of course will draw a line to that random endpoint. And let's see, it seems like I don't have the get the points in here, so we basically want to go ahead and do that. We can do that right here. So get random endpoint. Alright, let's go ahead and put our loop in here. So that's going to be a for loop. Oh, you know what? I need a variable to indicate how many segments I'm going to have so I can play with this. So I'll have to put that in here. So int, we'll call this seg equals 0 while seg is less than numseg, which is going to be a constant. I haven't created that yet. I'll have to do that next. Seg plus plus. Come on down here. Create the body of the loop. And then I always like to go ahead and get the formatting done as I go. That's a lot less tedious than doing it after the fact. Nobody likes to do documentation after they're done programming. Alright, so we have to define numseg up here. Let's go ahead and put that in. And that's a constant, so that's final int numseg. And let's just set this for 25 for a start. And okay, we're good. Alright, so get a random color. So we have draw color. Oops. There we go. Draw color equals new color. And then now I need to use my random here. So that's rnd dot next int. We can go ahead and use a constant here, 256. And then I'm going to copy that twice because I've got 3 color components, the red, green, and blue RGB components. So copy, Control V to paste, Control V to paste, and there we go. Okay, so now I have the draw color, and then the pen up, that's a straightforward command, right, Tom? Pen up, and then move to the start point, Tom dot move to, and then okay, let's see, and we didn't set up our start point here, so this is start X and start Y. Start X, start Y, but we need to go back up here and follow that, so get a random start point. Okay, so start X equals rnd dot next int, and we'll come back and get that in a second. Let's copy that real quick. Control C, Control V, start Y. Okay, so now basically the X is the horizontal axis, and I mentioned before that that's 640. So 640, a world is 640 pixels wide. And then the Y is going to be 480, so it's 480 pixels tall. Okay. Alright, so we've got that. Now, basically you can see that the end X and the end Y are going to be the same. So we can save some time by copying these 2 lines. So let's copy those. Come down here into our loop. Get the random endpoint as our comment. That's what this code does. So we'll paste it in. But we need to change this not to start but end x. So end x and end y. We'll go ahead and get that lined up correctly too. Okay, let's see. Moving through, we got a random color. We set the pen up. We move to the start point. Now we have to set the color. So that's tom.set pen color. And notice we picked up the draw color which we want. That's good. I love it when NetBeans does that. Now we'll put the pen down. Tom.pen down. And so then we got our random endpoint. And so now we have to move to that point. So tom.move to. There it is. And let's go ahead and pull this up so it'll show up better on the vid. And that's going to be the end x and the end y. So this should be end x, and this will be end y. Alright, looks like everything is good. Let's go ahead and run this and see what we get. Yeah, that's pretty nice there, and you can see the turtle ends up on the end of the last segment. Okay, so right off, one thing I'd like to do is make this denser. So let's go ahead and create a bunch of these. I didn't say that right. Let's do this more. So numseg is how many I'm drawing. Let's just go ahead and do 2500 there. And whoops, I forgot to stop and quit my program run there again. There we go. Okay, here we go. Ah, that's real nice. I kind of like that. Okay. Alright, I think that's good enough here for this one. So I worked through the programming logic. I showed you how we go ahead and use these comments, and then we go back and fill the code in. So I really worked the program out in the logic, in the comments, and then went ahead and wrote the code that corresponded to it. And it turned out that this was simple enough that I got it right the first time. I didn't have to do a lot of debugging or anything. Again, we could probably improve this by putting some constants in here instead. And one reason for doing that is later on we're going to draw on pictures instead of worlds. And unlike a world, a picture, you can specify the dimensions. So the total width and the total height might be different than the 640 and the 480. So it's not smart for me to hard code those in. So next time I do this, I'll go ahead and use a symbolic constant for those, and we'll move towards doing the picture. One thing that's kind of interesting is I might want to do multiple fans. And obviously this kind of lends itself to being made into a method in the turtle class, and that's where we're going next. But real quickly, I think I'd like to try and just make multiple fans here. So what I need to do is basically put another loop around this, an outer loop, and I'm going to then basically you can see what happens is I'll get a different start X for each of the iterations. So this will draw a fan, and then a loop around it will draw many fans. So let's just do this for int num fans equals 0 while num fans is less than, let's say 20 for a start. That should look pretty interesting. And then num fans plus plus. Okay, whoops, got a little mistake in there. Let's fix that. Okay. And then again, this is the start of the block. And that's a problem there. I don't want that because the block has to include the previous for loop. So the actual end of the block is right here. Now let's very quickly fix our indentation because now it's going to make the code sort of hard to read if I don't have it indented right. So I want to make sure I do that. So we'll just tab that in. Looking good. So, and I don't need a white line here. Let's go ahead and get rid of that extra line that we don't need. So now what's going to happen is it should draw 20 fans. Now let's go ahead and back this down to 250 because I'm going to have the multiple fans. So here we go. Let's play and see what we get. There we go. So now you can see that I have these little centers where the fans start, and that's just 20 fans, each with 250 segments. Let's play again. We'll reduce the number of segments on the fans. You see the advantage of using these symbolic constants, or even just control variables, is I don't have to go through the code and keep changing values all through the code. So it's always a good thing to do. Alright, so that's looking kind of nice. Pardon me. Well, I think that's good enough.